I want to talk to you about priorities. Has anybody ever asked you the question, if your house was burning, if your house caught fire and was burning, what would be the things that you would try to save out of your house? What would be the most important things that you would want to take with you to escape from the flames? Perhaps you would say a pet, a cat, a dog, perhaps some photographs, perhaps a computer, perhaps if you have some money laying around somewhere, you would try to get that. This gets to the core of priorities. What do we value? What is important for us in our lives? Crises have this special way of calling us and calling out of us what is inside. What do we value? For example, I want to read to you a statement from a doctor in Italy, a doctor who had been treating these COVID-19 coronavirus patients in this pandemic. This is something that has been on Facebook. Maybe you've already seen it. Some of you may have seen it, but it gives us an idea as to what priorities should really be like. Jesus was asked by the Pharisees, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment?" And what does he say? The greatest commandment is number one, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, and all your might, all your soul. And the second one is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. Priorities. Who do we love first? What do we love most? So here is this statement from this doctor. His name is Lilian Urban Lorenzo. He's, I understand, 38 years old, and he works in the region of Lombardy in Italy. And he says this: "Never, not even in my darkest nightmares, did I imagine that I would get to see and live through what has been going on here in our hospital for the past 3 weeks. The nightmare is flowing like a river. It is getting bigger and bigger and unstoppable. At first, some came, then tens, and then hundreds, and now we are no longer doctors, but we have become sorters on a conveyor belt, and we get to decide who lives and who is sent home to die. Although all these people have paid Italian taxes all their life. Until 2 weeks ago, my colleagues and I were atheists. It was normal because we were doctors and we learned science, and we were told that science excludes the existence of God. I always laughed at my parents going to church. 9 days ago, a 75-year-old pastor came to us, a gentle and poor man. He had major respiratory problems, but he always had his Bible with him, and we were very impressed and touched because he would read the Bible to the dying and he would hold them by their hand. All of us doctors were tired and discouraged, exhausted, mentally and physically finished. We would listen to him when we had the time. We came to the point where we had to admit, as humans, we had reached our limits. We couldn't do more, and more people continue to die every day. All of us are exhausted. Already, we have had 2 colleagues who have died, and others are just barely still standing. We realize that where what man can do ends, that is where we need God. And we began to pray when we had a few free minutes. We talk amongst ourselves, and we cannot believe that from the fierce atheist, we have come to the point where daily we find our peace, asking the Lord to help us withstand and have strength so we can take care of the sick. Yesterday, the 75-year-old pastor died, and we were all devastated, even though we had over 120 dead during the past 3 weeks over here. We were all destroyed because during his stay with us, this old pastor managed to bring us peace. And now we no longer hoped to find this peace. The pastor went to be with the Lord, and it seems if things continue this way, we will soon follow. I haven't been home for 6 days. I don't know when I ate last, and I realize my worthlessness on this earth. I want to dedicate my life to the last breath to help and to care for others. While I am surrounded by the suffering and the death of my fellow man, I am happy that I have returned to God. A crisis results in the conversion of this doctor, this fiercely atheistic doctor as he describes himself. Friends, God says that his ways are not our ways. He says that, we cannot understand everything, all his purposes, all his ways. Sometimes God can and God does work through the challenges of your life to bring about the glory of his purposes for you. The Bible uses this illustration that gold needs to be purified by fire, that every impurity comes out through the furnace of fire, through the pressure of the beating of the hammer and the temperature in the furnace. This is what God wants for us. He wants us to be like him. And that is why let us accept what he allows to come our way. We may try and we will try and we should try to improve our situations. But after we do everything in our power to do, let's trust God with the rest. So what are some of the priorities in your life? How has this crisis going on now helped you crystallize, synthesize what the priorities are? If I was to ask you this question, if tomorrow you knew that you were going to die, who would be the 5 people that you would make sure to call today to talk to them before you would eventually die tomorrow? Who are those 5 people? I want to encourage you, I want to invite you to give them a call today. Yes, nobody's going to die tomorrow. Don't die tomorrow, okay? But give those people a call and tell them what they mean for you today. And perhaps share this video with them so they can do the same. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Again, if you would like to, please subscribe. Please click the bell icon to be notified next time when I post a video. And until that time, may God richly bless you and your family. And may God help you crystallize that list of priorities in your life so that you know how you want to live your life based on what you value.